Hello and welcome. In recent years, armies of globalist trolls have aggressively fomented division between proponents of diversity, equity and inclusion DEI initiatives and those advocating for a purely meritocratic approach to hiring and promotion. As organisations are increasingly coerced into creating DEI work environments as opposed to a meritocracy, the question of how to balance these opposing ideologies has become increasingly problematic. Woke supporters of DEI argue these initiatives are crucial for addressing historical inequalities and systematic biases that have allegedly prevented certain groups from accessing equal opportunities in the workplace. Without a shred of substantive evidence, they hysterically bleat that by actively promoting diversity, companies can foster innovation, improve decision-making, and ultimately achieve better business outcomes. A shameful litany of recent case history completely debunks this nonsensical propaganda. Proponents ludicrously assert that diverse teams outperform homogeneous ones in problem-solving and decision-making scenarios. Again, all such outlandish claims are totally without foundation. According to bought and paid for studies, probably supported by a consensus opinion of 97% of similarly bought and paid for scientists, companies in the top quartile for gender diversity on executive teams were 25% more likely to have above average productivity, while those supporting ethnic and cultural diversity supposedly outperformed others by 36% in profitability. Well, I've yet to see any documented evidence to confirm this laughably absurd waffle. Woke DEI advocates argue these initiatives are not about lowering standards, but rather about redefining them to reflect the diverse world we live in. This slippery word salad convinces non-critical thinkers that true meritocracy can only be achieved when eliminating barriers that exclude talented individuals from certain backgrounds. In other words, that biological men who get their jollies by mincing around in ladies' knickers can do a better job of anything and everything just because they're different. On the logical side of the debate, proponents of meritocracy argue that individuals should be assigned to tasks congruent with their skills, expertise, and hard work, rather than on demographic factors. A focus on merit ensures fairness and promotes excellence by recognizing and rewarding individual achievements. A glaring example of a DEI disaster was the failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump, wherein his hopelessly incompetent security protection team was shown to be manifestly unfit for purpose. This was just one calamitous outcome of woke DEI hiring, where recruitment criteria prioritized identity over performance. Common sense dictates that quotas and other race or gender-based hiring practices are seriously detrimental to both the individuals hired and those passed over for promotions. The short, overweight female Secret Service agent unsuccessfully trying to protect Trump while incapable of holstering a drawn sidearm exemplified the perils inherent in DEI principles. While DEI initiatives are insanely forced upon society in recent years, critics argue that an overemphasis on these programs inevitably invoke unintended consequences. Excessive focus on meeting diversity quotas results in individuals hired primarily for their demographic characteristics, rather than their qualifications or capabilities. DEI initiatives create resentment among employees who see their achievements overlooked in favour of politically current diversity goals. Invariably, a rigid adherence to diversity targets leads to passing over more suitable candidates who inconveniently don't fit specific demographic criteria. Paradoxically, an overemphasis on DEI reinforces the very stereotypes it aims to combat. Woke organisations focus on meeting diversity metrics rather than fostering a meaningfully beneficial culture, leading to superficial changes without addressing underlying issues. This has triggered a growing backlash against transgender ideology. This trend is evident in both political actions and public opinion, reflecting a complex and contentious societal debate. Reform advocates are at the forefront of efforts to curtail DEI programs, particularly in higher education. In the USA, since 2023, over 80 bills have been introduced across various states, with 8 becoming law. Florida and Texas have been particularly active, passing laws that prohibit public colleges from requiring political loyalty tests and ban DEI officers and mandatory diversity training. The Trump administration and policies during its first term had significant impact on transgender rights, including reinstating a ban on transgender individuals serving in the military. The new Trump administration is expected to continue this trend, particularly re-implementing the ban on military service. Many institutions are making defensive adjustments in response to criticism of DEI initiatives. Some schools are removing the word diversity from office and job titles, closing identity-based campus spaces, ending diversity training, and ceasing to require written affirmations of commitment to diversity from faculty and staff. In the corporate world, there are calls for boycotts against companies perceived as promoting woke ideologies, with some success reported. This has led to companies reconsidering or scaling back their DEI commitments, which has, in turn, sparked criticism from progressive advocates. Diversity training is ineffective and counterproductive. Studies have shown limited progress in achieving racial diversity in corporate leadership, and research suggests that mandatory diversity training has negative effects. The use of mandatory diversity statements in academia is criticised as infringing on academic freedom and functioning as ideological litmus tests. Organisations like the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, FIRE, have expressed concerns about these practices. Regarding transgender issues, many argue that affirming transgender identities, particularly in schools, promotes demonstrably harmful ideologies. This perspective demands banning materials that acknowledge the existence of LGBTQI+ people in educational settings. However, the debate has intensified, with transgender rights becoming a focal point in cultural and political discussions. It remains disturbingly unclear just who allocated any such rights and what makes this minority group any more privileged than the rest of us. The ongoing controversy has created a hostile atmosphere of division among transgender and queer communities, while popular opinion rejects all notions that these belong in school environments. In conclusion, the rejection of transgender ideology and DEI mandates represents a significant shift in the cultural and political landscape. As this debate continues to evolve, it will likely have far-reaching implications for workplace policies, educational institutions, while hopefully curtailing the bullying intimidation of these seditiously antisocial groups across society. I personally think this malicious subversion has reached its expiry date and trust that mounting public pressure will soon see its total eradication. I also hope this will see agencies and medical practitioners responsible for mutilating children under the satanic deception of gender identity face appropriate justice. We've yet to see the full extent of the emotional and psychological damage inflicted on vulnerable youth who were cruelly betrayed by a captured system. Such far-reaching damage is incalculable, and we've not yet scratched the surface of what this malignant social engineering has already imposed. Accordingly, we must reinvigorate and combine all efforts to hasten the end of DEI wokeism and all its attendant globalist-driven ideologies. Thank you for watching.